just wanted to start out by saying thank you so much to everybody for coming today. I appreciate everybody coming out here, but also thank you so much for the love and support that you've shown us since July. For 4 months, people have been praying for us and supporting us. We have received so many cards and notes and meals and flowers, and I just appreciate that so much. It made things a little more bearable knowing that we weren't alone, and I appreciate that. From the bottom of my heart, thank you. Well, Evie, finally we have a little face to go with the name. A sweet little face. She had the chubbiest little cheeks and perfect little lips. And she had a nose like Micah, which we noticed right away. It was very sweet. And losing her has been hard. Definitely the hardest thing I've ever done. But when I grieve over losing Evie, really my grief is just for myself. Because she's in heaven, and I can rejoice in that. She's not crying, she's not sad at all. And I'm so thankful for that. As a mom, I tend to worry about Micah. I worry if he's eating enough, which he probably isn't. I worry if he's sleeping enough, if he's getting loved enough, if, you know, all the worries that moms typically have. I remember when he was 3 days old, Josh and I were laying in bed with our new little boy in his pack and play next to us, and I was just sobbing. Josh was like, "What's wrong?" I said, "Josh, if Micah goes to kindergarten and a kid makes fun of him or hurts his feelings, I think I'm gonna hurt that kid." And I said, "What's wrong with me?" He said, "There's nothing wrong with you." He said, "It's your new mommy emotions coming out for the first time." And I said, "Well, I don't like it." So when I think about Evie, and I can't be more thankful as a mom who tends to worry and be concerned for the well-being of her kids. I couldn't have designed a more perfect life for my little girl. I carried her for 9 months. For 9 months, she was always snuggled inside of me. She was always the right temperature. She always had enough to eat. She was comforted by the sound of my voice and the sound of my heartbeat. She was comforted by her daddy's voice and her brother's voices. And then it came time for her to be born, and I was the first person to touch her. And then for 4 hours, she was here on this earth, and she was passed from person to person who just snuggled on her and kissed her and told her how precious she was to them. And she was just loved on for 4 hours. And then when it came time, when we knew that it was her time was coming near, I was able to hold her and sing to her. And I sang to her the same songs that she heard for 9 months, the same songs that I rock Micah to sleep with. And I hope she was comforted by that. And then she went straight from Josh in my arms to her father's arms in heaven. And now she knows perfect love. So really, all she's ever known is love. She knew love here on earth from us, and now she will just know God's perfect love in eternity, for eternity. And I'm so grateful for that. And I have peace not only that she's in heaven and she's safe and happy and being well taken care of, but I also have joy that I will see her again. And that has been everything during this during this trial, preparing to say goodbye to her. Jesus said, "I'm the way, the truth, and the life. No man comes to the Father but through me." And Christ made a way for us to go to heaven when he died on the cross for us 2,000 years ago. And if we would just admit that we have done wrong things, that we're sinners in need of him, and just accept what he did for us on the cross, we are promised eternity in heaven with him. And not only that, we are promised help on this earth when we go through hard times. He makes it not so bad. If you've never given your heart to Jesus, I encourage you, please make that decision today. Accept what Christ has done on the cross, and accept his redeeming work, and you can spend eternity with him. And I promise you will never regret giving yourself wholeheartedly to Jesus. He makes life sweet, even when it's hard. And I just have one more story that I'd like to share, if you don't mind. When Josh and I came home from the hospital last Friday, anyway, we got home and we saw Micah playing in the backyard with both sets of grandparents. And he didn't see us walk up right away, but when he finally saw us, he turned around and his eyes got big, and he stood up on his tiptoes and he stretched out his arms, and he had this huge smile on his face and just let out this big giggle. And it was just so sweet. It just melted my heart, of course. And I thought to myself, everything's right in his world now that Mommy and Daddy are home. And then later that night, Josh and I were just talking and sort of trying to process everything that had happened in the last 24 hours. And I told him I was grateful that Evie was in heaven, but it was kind of hard for me to know what that meant. You know, I told him that I was praying to the Lord to just give me like a glimpse of what heaven was like for Evie. Just for my own peace of mind, really. I just wanted a little glimpse of what it was like for her. And Josh looked at me, and through tears, he said, "You know how Micah acted when we got home?" I said, "Yeah." He said, "That's what Evie did when she got to heaven. She stood up on her tiptoes, and she stretched out her arms, and she had a big smile on her face. She let out a big giggle, and everything was right in her world because she was home with her Abba. And now she's there with him, and she is whole, and she is home, and she is so happy."